the Los Angeles Chargers selected 2 Canadian players in this year's NFL Draft. Thanks for watching the Charged Up podcast, where we talk about everything to do with the Los Angeles Chargers. My name's Dan, and before we get into this, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps grow the channel, and I appreciate you guys so much for that. So, Akeem Mesidor, at number 22, we all know, or most people know, that this guy was from Ottawa. And, TSN up here in Canada, which is one of our major sports broadcasters, did a whole piece on him, covering his family. Again, I would show it, but copyright issues, it's going to be tough to play videos. I do plan to play more videos and react to it, but I also don't want to get copywritten, so I'm going to have to figure out, kind of navigate which videos I can and can't use. But for now, we'll just talk a little bit about it. So we all know he played at a long time in college, but before that, he actually played high school up here in Ottawa. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Canadian football, we actually have our own league, the Canadian Football League, and it's very different. The rule book, first of all, I don't even want to get into it. It's about twice the length of the NFL rule book. Our field goal posts are at the front of the end zone. The end zone is 20 yards long. Our field, I believe, is 110 yards long, and I can't remember how wide it is, but it's much wider than an NFL field. In fact, I actually live very, very close to where our team from Hamilton plays. If you're not familiar, it's in Ontario, about halfway between Toronto and Buffalo. And I live very close to their stadium. One day I'll go and I'll take a picture of it and I'll show you how big our field is. It's massive, especially compared to an NFL field. So there's a big lot of differences. Our ball's a different size. We have something called a rouge, which many of you may not have ever heard before. It's basically where, let's say you miss a field goal and the other team doesn't return it out of the end zone, you score 1 point. It's very interesting. But that style of play doesn't usually transition over to the NFL, so what they do is they see someone from high school who's really good, and then they get them to kind of come down to the States for a while. So he started off playing at West Virginia, I believe, and then he transfers over to the Miami Hurricanes, where he dominated for years. First round pick, there's only been 5 Canadians drafted in the first round in NFL draft history, so hopefully he can be a good one for us. But the thing is, the Chargers and Canadians have always kind of had this thing where they're either signing an undrafted Canadian or they're taking somebody from, the Toronto Argonauts. If you remember, a few years ago, we had a receiver, well, it was probably about 10 years ago, named Dontrell Inman. If you do remember him, let me know in the comment section. But also, we got him from the Toronto Argonauts. He was my favorite receiver on the team. And then when he went to the Chargers, I was like, oh, hey, that's cool. Also, if you're an old man like me, you'll remember Doug Flutie, who played for many teams in the CFL, including my Toronto Argonauts, won multiple championships here, and then eventually made his way to San Diego, and that's the reason why I became a Chargers fan, because I just followed him. So, long story short, it's, being in Canada, we don't have our own team, obviously, but usually people will cheer for local teams or teams like the 49ers who have a history of winning. But I said, you know what? I'm going with Doug Flutie. I'm a Chargers fan. I remember those powder blue jerseys. One of my friends had one in high school. I was so jealous. And then from then on, I just got kind of caught watching them whenever they were on TV, which wasn't often. But then next thing you know, we got guys like Antonio Gates and Tomlinson, Breeze, and of course later on Phillip Rivers, not to mention that amazing O-line we had back then. Also, let me know in the comment section, how long have you been a Chargers fan? For me, it's been about 25 years. I came in just before we got all those great players, right when Doug Flutie joined. So, Akeem Mesidor from Ottawa. We have another one from Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, which is actually very close to where my dad's from, about an hour or two away. Canadian offensive lineman Logan Taylor selected by Los Angeles Chargers in the 2026 draft. And again, this guy is a big man. Came from the Canadian system, which again has a lot of different rules. One thing I forgot to mention, one of the biggest differences is we only play 3 downs up here. So if you don't get your first down within your first or second down attempt, you're punting on your third down. Also, the defensive lineman has to give a yard off the ball. I could go on and on for hours. I'm not going to. But if you ever find yourself a little bit bored this summer, check out a CFL game. It's kind of Bush League in a way, but it is very entertaining. If you follow college football, there's a lot of players who don't make the NFL who come up here and play. So you'll probably be familiar with a lot of the players as well. But it is kind of a cool little... See, I don't like the word Bush League, but it kind of is Bush League at the time because there's so many rules, and sometimes games can end in really silly ways with the Rouge thing. But either way, this Logan Taylor, a native of Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. Taylor is just the third player from the province of Nova Scotia to ever be taken in the NFL draft. Receiver Tyrone Williams was taken in the 9th round of the 1992 draft by the Phoenix Cardinals. Kicker Eddie Murray, who was born in Halifax but raised in BC, was drafted in the 7th round by the Detroit Lions in 1980. Taylor was named second-team All-ACC at Boston College in 2025, making 8 starts at right guard, 3 starts at left tackle, and 1 start at right tackle. So he's a very diverse offensive lineman. Very, you can use him on all different spots, which is kind of a really valuable thing if you're the Chargers, especially with our injury history. He spent the last 3 seasons of his collegiate career with the Eagles. Let me get this out of here. Earning 2 All-ACC honorable mentions and making 36 total starts. So he's versatile. He's been healthy. He can play all kinds of different positions, which is great. It's great to have that depth. But either way, I just wanted to make this video to kind of give a shout out to my fellow Canadians. I know a lot of you probably aren't Canadians and you're probably not familiar with the NFL or the CFL rules. But let me know in the comment section. Have you ever watched a CFL game? Where in the United States are you located? Obviously, I'm not looking for your address, but just let me know, what state are you from? And if you're Canadian, tell me which province you're from. That's going to be it for this one, though, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please, again, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be back shortly with a new one.